help individuals, address issues and break chains and curses that have been put on, families when it comes to generations, breaking habits and behaviors, and simply just being honest with yourselves, being honest with yourself and bettering you for your mate
Mhm.
in an instance. Whereas if you're working on you and they're working on them, y'all can become a better us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just like when I often say, we always say collectively in this country or anywhere around the world would be a better place if we had peace. But the reality is each individual got to work on themselves to be peaceful. Then in turn, we'll be peaceful. That'll be world. You know how we say society?
Yeah.
Society is us. So us as individuals have to work on trying to get peace with ourselves and be peaceful. And therefore we will have peace in this world. Like society. It's not a cell phone, it's not a pair of eyeglasses. It is people. So people have to get peace in themselves. Therefore we have a peaceful place. And that's the same thing goes into a relationship. You work on yourself, they work on themselves, and we work together as a team. Yes, man. And also, I wanted to I'll touch base with you after the show because there's some things that I would like to address on the wedding official because it was some things that I have and I never utilized them, you know.
Mm.
So yeah. So anyway, so back to the boys and men. My experience was an suave, amazing experience. I mean, it was suave credible, you know. and and when I think about it, man, it was a swabrific time with all some of those swab credible mentors as well as swabtastic mentees. So your experience as a board member, the bosses of the boss, tell me about that experience. You know, that says something when somebody respects you enough, want you to be a board member. It says a lot about the character and the trust that they have for you.
Well, I'm a student to the game. I'm very inquisitive, and I missed the questionnaire. I'm not ashamed to not know something, and I love to be taught in a way. Whereas if I don't know something, teach me. I'm open minded. And shout out to Chris,
Yes.
Mr. Fowler, and shout out to Stephen. Even considering me a younger guy and just being a student to the game. And I'm very privileged to be on the board member of Boys to Men, and just seeing how they work and their dedication and how
Yeah.
faithful they are to these young black boys. And just being an influence, not just to the Boys Men Foundation, but that's just who they are everywhere.
Yes.
Anybody.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
beautiful part about it. It ain't just in one area; it's everywhere. You
Yes.
know. And I was a mentee for the 100 Black Men of Greater Charlotte. Shout out to my mentor, Chris Carter. He's a accountant right now, but he used to be VP for Duke Power. And as a kid in middle school, I got to go to his job on take your kid to work day,
Hmm.
and he has two daughters. But the fact that he allowed me, that wasn't his son, to come to his job and learn what he do on a day-to-day basis, I almost felt like Richie Rich,
Yeah.
because he had a secretary, and at 12 o'clock every day, every week I would go to his job, and his secretary would say, "Well, you know what, Mr. Pitts, you sit in my chair, you sit in my office, you learn what I do, you pay attention, you take notes. But at 12 o'clock, my secretary is gonna get you whatever you want to get for lunch." Now, me as a kid in middle school, I'm like, anything,
Any
whatever you tell her, she's going to get it for you.
you're
So at
walking
12
a
o'clock,
happy
I'm
reason.
thinking, like, as a kid, like, this is the life. I see a
Yes.
black man with a suit and tie on. He's making calls, running conference calls, answering the phone, running business. And then at 12 o'clock, you eat what you want. So every day I'm coming from my middle school thinking about what am I going to ask this secretary
Yes.
or what I'm going to eat. And I would tell her whatever, and she would have it there at 12:30 every time. I'm like, this is the life.
Yeah. And see, those experiences open our eyes sometimes if you're an inner city kid and unfortunately so many people are heroes and they aspire to be our entertainers and professional athletes. But when you get a chance to be exposed to things, you look at sports, you say, okay, it's cool, but you sometimes see it as entertainment. But these other things are more higher probability to achieve. And you're like, yo, this is not that bad. You know, I got a shirt and tie, a secretary, and I'm making money.
Yeah.
This is real achievable. And so a lot of times you're able to see and you can look up because these people are around us every day. We just have to be in that space and be, you know, and again, we look at those other things. And again, being a professional athlete, it's a 1% chance, but it's a greater, higher probability to be an engineer, a higher probability to be a doctor or a lawyer or any of those things or anything. And you was blessed, and that was great. And so it's like we was talking about, I was talking about the go-giver. Mm-hmm. It was given to you and you gave right back. And that's being a good steward with the blessing that you will receive. And you gave right back. And this is how we can improve our community, by being life coaches, by being mentors, by being counselors, by being go-givers. Yeah. You understand? And again, my hat's off to you, brother. My hats are off to you. Because, I mean, again, this is the thing. And the funny thing is, you do so much. You're talking about coaching, mentoring, work, exercising, because you obviously leading by example as a life coach, because he did mentally, spiritually, physically, all those things. So you wearing so many hats. How do you have time for all this? And what do you have a routine? Is it something that you do? I know I have a routine, but do you?
Listen, I believe that people make time for what they want to make time for. And where your love is, that's where you're going to put most of your time. But my most successful job as a man is a father. Yes. I'm a full-time dad. My greatest accomplishment is getting up at 4:30 in the morning, going to the gym for an hour, hour and a half, coming back, taking a shower, getting my kids together, whether I'm making them breakfast or making sure they're getting ready for school, dropping my baby girl off at daycare, just praying with them before they leave, speaking life into them. Mm-hmm. My greatest moment is my 2-minute warning. Is when I'm sitting in front of the mirror. My 2-minute warning is before I speak and connect with anybody. I sit in the mirror. In 2 minutes, I speak nothing but life into me. Nothing but life into me. I don't grab my phone. I don't go on social media. I just sit in there. 2-minute warning just to remind myself, you're here. You got your gift for life. Open that present up. Speak life into today. Before, I believe that life works inside out, not outside in. So in order for me to give life to others, I got to speak life into myself. So that 2 minutes, I'm going hard in that mirror, looking myself in the eye and just speaking life into me. And for 2 minutes, I'm going hard. And I think when I do that, I'm ready for the world. Let's go.
And I'm glad you said it, because a lot of times people do the opposite. They do the opposite. And they think committing that little time to themselves first is selfish. Well, we all got one heart, one life, one soul. We have to protect that at all costs. And also that gives a message to our children, are we leading by example? Because so many people sit there and put everybody first. They don't invest in themselves. And again, life starts with us. So when we learn to do that, it's just like the self-love mantra. You know, once you have unconditional love for themselves, because life is too short and too precious for our intellectual justification and excuses. We have to love ourselves from us. And then you have that much energy and life to give. Remember I said the go-giver. So when you go on, you have it in you. You have energy to give. You have love to give. You have power to give. And again, this is why, ladies and gentlemen, why we have so many life coaches now, because it's something that's just not a title, but it's something that people are living. You know, they're sharing their story, they're giving. And one thing about each life coach, their individual selves, yes, they have the basic training and the basic information, but each individual has their own book of life and experiences that they are willing to share with their clients. So, man, Jay Hicks presents some very powerful information, and again, it's crazy because we're talking about, this is 22. I think we met in 18 or 19. I
Yeah,
know we met, but when we had that first Christmas thing, I think that was
yeah,
2018.
yeah,
Yes. Um, and that was, for me, it was a great experience. And in fact, 30 some years of being in Sigma, Tim introduced me to some of the brothers that was in Charlotte, and it was one of the most so amazing experiences I had in the 30 some years of being in Sigma. I think it was about 28 years then. And so, and that's because of him being a mentor, I mean, the president, and all the brothers I met. It was a great experience living in Charlotte, man. I really miss that beautiful that city. What do you call it? Queen City.
yeah. Queen
Yes,
City.
yes. So it was just a great experience. I mean, the brothers have helped me purchase. They purchased my book, man. I've never been in a situation like that. I've sold thousands of books. I've never been in a situation where I had so many people coming to buy a book that I couldn't even sign them all. They was coming so quick, trying to cash it. It was just a wonderful experience. And so one thing, life coaches I know to be people who are constantly seeking knowledge. Guy Jackson, how you doing, Guy Jackson? Do you know Guy Jackson?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Thank you for your support, man. Listen, and one thing I know about life coach, they're always seeking knowledge, always trying to get better in their craft, their experience, and their knowledge. So that being said, are you into reading? And if so, what was the last book you read?
Um, I definitely love reading. I actually like to go up Crowder's Mountain and read at the top of the mountain. It gives me a sense of peace, but it also too gives me mental clarity sitting up high and seeing God's creation and be able to go page to page or just go chapter to chapter. Or if I really like to take my time and read certain chapters and meditate on what I'm reading. But the last book I read was The World's Greatest Salesman by Og Mandino.
Okay.
And one of my favorite quotes from that book is knowing your worth. And he said, when a person doesn't know his worth, the world will offer you anything.
Yeah.
But when a person does know their worth, the world will accept your evaluation.
Mm. Wow.
So there's power in knowing who you are because there's a belief mechanism that you tap into where people want to buy and invest into your life.
Yes. That's something else, I love it. And and one of the things I'm just gonna, because I love having fun and taking advantage of opportunities. You know how when people always say, when you own something, you can do what you want.
Yeah.
And then also that inspired me when you said the world's greatest salesman. And so when you have your own platform, you can just do random things, or should I say, be spontaneous. So when you was talking about being a wedding officiant and you talking about the world's greatest salesman, I think this is a book would be a great thing for wedding officiants.
Mm.
Mm,
That commands of intimacy. I'm gonna write that down.
yes. Guidelines to building strong, healthy, and compatible relationships from a social, spiritual, and clinical perspective.
Mm.
All those wedding officiants.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that.
Yes. What do you say,
Hey,
brother?
I'm excited. I'm excited because I never read it before.
hey,
It
so
seems like it's deep.
hopefully that'll
The
be your
title.
last book as of late, because
Hey, the title itself makes you like, what's in that?
Yes, man. So listen, it's just a great experience, man. Just talking to you about your life coach experience and how everything just come together. So let me ask you a few questions because again, I'm happy have learned another side of you. Got a chance to learn another side of you that I didn't know. Again, one thing about, so many brothers are so committed to the community, like going out there, visiting the seniors. I love that experience, and it's giving back because, again, you get a chance to learn so much. These people, when they talking to you, they actually mentoring us because they telling you the stories. They telling you just their physical being there is telling us that, hey, that could be us. Because those people had a lot of great stories, done a lot of great things in their past, and as you say, taken way more steps than we have, And I used to always try to take heed to when they say, because even some of them used to say, listen, some of you even told me it was some karma because they didn't do right. And that was a learning experience, like, yo, you better do right by people,
Yeah.
And
let me tell you about karma. Karma never misses its appointment. It's always on time, but you never know when it's going to show up.
Exactly. You don't know. You don't know. So I wanted to ask you a few questions because it was just dealing with some current events going on in our country. And I don't know, I don't remember the whole political race dealing with Charlotte, not Charlotte, but North Carolina. But I know that some of the things from my home state, as well as my second home state here in Georgia, was some things, unfortunate, Stacey Abrams conceded. And I guess the character was she did the right thing when she saw that it wasn't a possibility of winning. But what shocks me right now, this is just my opinion, I don't understand what direction this world's going into or as a country, because I'm like, yo, they used to tell you to work hard, get yourself educated, or maybe represent yourself in a way that you seem like you will be a great leader, but put the time in. So, like show that you want to be a part of something. So you put the time in to work on your craft. But we seem to be going back because it's just, I can't see how a person, a person who conduct themselves this way and having all these, in my opinion, intellectual limitations, and then you got a person who's a God-fearing man, regardless of their imperfections, but articulate, smart, who's done much work in the community and has political experience and leadership experience, and we got to run off with this person. Like, it seems like we're on the same level. That's I don't know. That's crazy to me. It's definitely way more than I know because I don't follow politics like that. But it's just incredible to see this. It's almost like you having a person who's super intelligent like Obama, with his pedigree, his intelligence, his work, his commitment, his political experiences, his intellect, losing against Trump. Be like, there would be no comparison. And that's what it looks like. Where are we going? Because you remember how they say the people, but what does it say about us as the people? When we having these people elections, when you a runoff?
Yeah.
I mean, you would think like, yo, there's no way in HE hockey stick it would be a runoff. This would be a landslide, but that's not the case. And it shows that where are we going in this time of day in this country?
Yeah. For the most part, it's almost like a boys' club or a popularity contest versus actually really. It's almost like a job. Instead of actually choosing the qualified candidate, it's like, hey man, if you're cool, hey man, come try this out. You don't have to be qualified. You don't have to have credentials, your background to say about it. Hey man, he was just doing the apprentice, and now you're the president running the world.
Yeah.
Anybody you think, you're like, man, I don't know if I would trust that.
Yes.
Because you don't have the credentials. That makes me nervous. Anybody can be the president.
Yeah, but that's like high school. You get it?
Yeah.
High school is based on popularity. You have the smart person who was a straight A student, did so much community work, preparing for college. The homecoming queen and the homecoming king are the class presidents who have no skill, no team. Like how is this possible? I'm like, what is going on? What is going on, man? You know, it's
It's the way the world is, man. Like it today, man. Like don't underestimate or don't overlook anybody or anything because right when you think you haven't seen it all, here's something else.
yeah, you're right. Because a lot of times, I recall being a youngster and sit there, used to watch shows. And I remember when I was a kid, I think I had to be in the fourth, fifth, or sixth grade when the movie Roots came out. That was uh, very challenging time for our community, and then especially growing up in Miami where we had those riots. I grew up, and I think it was like 2 or 3 riots when I was a kid. It was the Lozano trial, McDuffie trial, those riots. It was, I think I do remember those two, but nevertheless, and I remember always saying, "Man, I couldn't, man, ain't no way I couldn't have grown up in that time." Watching the civil rights movement, and here we are in 2020, was seeing all of that. 2018, seeing all of that. You're like, wait a minute, are we experiencing the same thing that they experience? It's just that we have these camera phones.
Yeah.
And this did not deter any outcomes when it comes to the outcomes of the ramification for legal bullying, legal killing. You would think this would offset some of that, but it didn't. And so we have to, although things are going bad, but it's the fact that more of us are exercising our rights. And so we've gone too far to give up now.
Yeah.
So, and again, history is still being made because of a place like Georgia turned blue, so it's just that we just got to continue the good walk, the good run, the good fight, should I say.
It's not always easy, man, but you know what? It's being connected with people like you, connected with true pillars, people who have a passionate for the people, who have a voice with the people, who not just speaking from a stage, but actually come down in the crowd and actually get to know Miss Jenkins around the corner or Theodore that live down the street. Instead of just saying, hey, I want to make this change, you actually know the people. You know the neighborhood. You know the problem. Yeah. You're actually not just acknowledging the problem, but you're actually seeking a solution.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's more deeper than just signing policies and making rules and saying, I'm going to do this and that and the third. You got to come connected with the people so you can understand where they're coming from.
Yeah. And I believe there will be a switch because I believe I can more than I can't. And so while we sitting there sometimes getting frustrated, it's just like the people never thought we would be free. And then the people continued to fight. People thought we get certain rights, but the people continue to fight. So I believe that when it comes around, a lot of stuff we've seen, I believe it will get better in a whole different way because it's just like developing, grow. You can shave, you will never see the hair grow. You just see it is there. You get a shave every week. You're not going to see, just like you never see a rose open, but you know it's going to be open. Mm-hmm. So these are the things that we have to be mindful of. Be mindful that things are changing. Things are changing, as frustrating it is, but hopefully we continue this because it doesn't make sense to give up. So we want to be able to see maybe our grandchildren be in situations where it's normal to see Black congressmen. It's normal to see Black presidents. It's normal to see Black media. This is why Success Architect, he is doing great things with this network. You understand? Because he has vision and I believe in him. And he's doing an incredible thing because it starts off. But again, I remember Les Brown say, you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to start to become great. Mm-hmm. And that inspired me with my own Suave philosophy by saying potential without initiative is not but a conversation with yourself and others and doing absolutely nothing. You can have all the potential in the world, but if you don't take the initiative to do it, it's just like saying to I'm gonna do this, or saying to somebody else, I'm gonna do it, but you don't do nothing. You have to do it. And so we have to continue to strive and believe and inspire and motivate our youth, because again, it's always the future, because we were kids at one point, just like you say, you was one of the mentees of the 100 Black Men. Now you're a grown man now, giving back to the community, taking care of your family, and doing big things. So we can't give up. We have to continue to believe and lead by example. And that's one of the things I'm proud of you today.
I appreciate you, man. It's not easy, man, but colliding, and the proverb says iron sharpens iron. Taking my blade and sharpening it with people like you is what makes me a better me, but also keeps that drive going.
Mm-hmm. So when you say keep your drive, what keeps you motivated?
What
I
keeps
know you
me?
just said it, but what are some of the key things that keep you motivated? Because it's so many different things. You got your kids. That's motivation.
My kids are my motivation. Setting aspirational goals and seeing the results. When I think it's very priceless when you help somebody's life and you hear the rapport and you see people doing better than where they was. You know where they started, but you see where they are today. That keeps me going. Just having the drive, man, the support system. My mom, my dad, people like you, Mr. Fowler. Having entities that you can reach out to when you're not having a good day or when things aren't so bright.
Okay.
This is real life.
Yeah.
It's not easy. Like, I would be a liar if I said that every day is peaches and cream or every day things go right. But I truly believe it's not what you go through, it's not what you've been through, but it's how you respond. It's how you
Absolutely.
react. And
Yeah.
also, too, in a godly manner, instead of focusing on what you've been through and what you're going through, pay attention to the experience and where it's taking you. Because
Yes.
now your experience is creating a path, and where you've been praying and desiring to be, it's actually opening up for you through your experiences. So my mama always teach me and my brothers, sons, everything bad ain't bad. And we should always hear when she say that, but we really truly understand it now as men, everything ain't bad. It's all about perspective, how you view it. She
Yes.
said you took it as bad. But see, when you understand God and life and experience, you truly understand that it wasn't bad. You counted it bad for a moment, but God said it was just right. Because look at you now.
Yes. Hey, listen. That can you just do me one solid? Can
Yes,
you
sir.
give them one of those inspirational things when it comes to life coaching now classes in? I love those that you send me in the DMs, man. Do you got one? You know how they say, man, let me hear you do a little cipher. Let me hear you do a freestyle. Let me hear some part. Can you do one for me, man? I mean, if
Yes,
you don't,
sir.
it's
Yes,
okay.
sir. Yes, sir. Well, I laugh in the morning because people ask me, well, what's your setup? What's your mode? I say, I just get up and I thank God for another day and I speak from the heart. Whatever's in my mind was on my temple. So I am Jay Pitts Presents.
Okay.
I am your life coach. And class is definitely in session. To love means to trust. And to trust means to love. For you cannot love if you do not trust, and you cannot truly trust a person if you do not love. You cannot have one without the other, for they work together in your favor.
Give me that dismissal.
And I am Jay Pitts Presents. I am your life coach, and class is dismissed.
Oh man. Hey, hey, I get those every day. Hey, you see, and go, I remember, and class is dismissed. I remember them. Man, I'm telling you, man, they don't be knowing. Listen, man, this has been a great experience, man. I'm so happy that you came. Man, I appreciate you, man. You know you're always welcome anytime, man. And, you know, we're going to stay connected, man, you know, more than we have in the past. And maybe we'll do some projects, you know, because I think in the service that we provide, again, this is very instrumental because it does what I was saying. It has some questions and answers, dialogue, and things that the couples can really go over and think about, you know, because those commandments are in order, and they can ask, and it's just a test also at the end.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a great read. And again, I wrote it from a social, spiritual, and clinical perspective. And so, you know, hopefully we can, again, after the off the air, we can just go ahead and have some dialogue regarding that. But again, I'm so happy, man. Blessed and honored that you came on, man. I really am. So again, this is been a mind-blowing, thought-provoking, eye-opening experience with my very special guest, Jay Pitts Presents. And just remember, man, great minds reach great places. I love you. I mean it. Bye-bye.
Tune in and stream live now. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, is now being broadcast on NPN Voice. NPN Voice can be found on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, and now on Audible and Amazon Music, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, now on NPN Voice. NPN Voice, got voice, you heard? Programs like this are made possible by Neighborhood Planet Broadcasting Systems, Neighborhood Planet Network, iBlister Digital Media Creative, and from contributions to NPN TV from viewers like you. Thank you.